I have a lot of friends on the front lines, ICU nurses, intensivists. Those are the, doctors, the pulmonologists in the ICU. Respiratory therapists, you cannot forget the respiratory therapists, as well as the techs, the patient care techs, and all those people. And I reach out and talk to a lot of them. All right, you guys, John's Moto Garage. Oh, beautiful weather out, beautiful. Today we're talking about the coronavirus. I've been putting it off. I've been on the fence back and forth. Do I talk about it? Do I not talk about it? I'm no expert, I'm no specialist, and this is a motorcycle channel, but obviously this is something that affects everybody on a global level. Never a better time than now. Just the message that we're all in this together, am I right? So anyway, I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I've been thinking a lot about it and trying to decide if I do a video, how do I go about it? What's the proper way? What's the dialogue? How do I address this? And finally I just said, what, screw it. Let's just jump on the motorcycle and let's just talk. So first and foremost, I hope everybody's well. I hope everybody's doing okay. I don't think in any of our lifetimes have we been in a situation quite like this. It does make me think a little bit and maybe have a little more empathy towards those who find themselves in disastrous situations, in war zones, in areas where you're dealing with natural disasters and calamities and those kind of things, because you just get a small taste of what it'd be like for your life as you know it all of a sudden to be totally rocked and to be changed drastically. And that's even, for many of us, it's more just the uncertainty and the unknowing. We haven't maybe been directly affected yet, or maybe we have been in the sense of losing jobs or losing income, or maybe losing family members, things like that. So anyway, there's no doubt this is, it's affecting everybody. One of the things I was thinking about personally with regards to, doing a video and what my message would be is, first of all, obviously you don't want to instill panic or mass hysteria, right? That's just not going to do anybody any good. And I think the takeaway message with things like this is we have to be informed and be well informed, make sure we're getting our information from legitimate sources, from experts, from the specialists, from people who know what they're talking about. Make sure we stay up to date and up to speed, knowing that new information is coming out pretty much daily, if not even more frequently on a hourly basis. And then figuring out what as individuals we can do to make a change or to make an impact or to prevent the spread or whatever it is, right? Because once you have the information and you know what you can do and you know how you can prepare and you do that, then the rest is out of your control. So as long as you can tell yourself and you know that you're doing what you can, that's basically all we can do. And the rest of it is out of our control, and there's no reason to be freaking out about it or in mass hysteria or panic mode, because it's like, dude, I'm sorry, there's nothing else I can do beyond this. But it is important to have that information and to be doing what we can do. And I'll be the first to admit, when this all came out in early January, I was not following it closely. I actually have a brother who, I don't know what the heck he was thinking, but the dude was following it super closely, and he would call me on a regular basis like, yo, what are you doing about this? And I just didn't give him the time of day, honestly, initially. It wasn't until I heard a podcast right as I was coming back from Flagstaff for spring break. I listened to a podcast and I realized, like, holy crap, this is a lot more serious than I've been taking it. And it was at that point, before they had shut down the schools, that I was like, you know what, I'm not going to be sending the kids back to school. And I was already at that time kind of starting to realize that things were not headed in the right direction. Anyway, I asked my brother at that point, I called him and I was like, dude, how'd you know, man? How are you so ahead of it? And he gave me a few sources that he had been following more closely that were basically ahead of it as well. And so one person, I'll put a link below, it's Dr. John Campbell. He's a nurse, I think retired nurse and nursing instructor, professor, and also a PhD. And since early January, I went back and watched his first video ever on COVID-19. And basically, he's been ahead of the curve since the beginning, just in the sense of actually taking it seriously. And so I've now made it part of my daily routine to watch his update videos. And again, it's not so that I am constantly in a state of panic. It's so that I'm informed, and so that I know what's going on, and it's so that I keep it fresh in my mind and I don't get complacent. And it's a good reminder to myself and for, you know, others who I'm in contact with, that we really do have to take this serious. I'm doing the social distancing. I'm wearing a mask when I go out in public, washing my hands vigorously. I have a lot of friends on the front lines, ICU nurses, intensivists. Those are the, you know, doctors, the pulmonologists in the ICU. Respiratory therapists, you cannot forget the respiratory therapists, as well as the techs, the patient care techs, and all those people. And I reached out and talked to a lot of them. And here in Phoenix, we haven't been hit hard yet, and hopefully we can start making the, you know, changes so that we don't get hit super hard. But the message I'm getting from a lot of them is, well, it's mixed. A lot of them initially weren't taking it seriously and didn't even know themselves. A lot of them were just saying, it's just the flu, you know. I think we were all guilty at some point of just going that route. But now the message I'm getting is they're concerned. They're concerned that they don't have the staff and equipment, sometimes even without a pandemic, let alone when we have a pandemic, right? And so they're concerned, rightfully so, that they may not have the PPE, the N95 masks, the supplies and provisions that they need. And I said, okay, well, what can I do as a civilian, quote unquote? And the biggest thing, again, that I can do as an individual is take things seriously, as far as keeping my distance, washing my hands, not going out in public in social, you know, situations. When I have to run to the store, wearing my mask, washing my hands, and again, just taking things seriously, because there are numerous studies out now, numerous articles out now, some of which I'll link below, that explain exactly why this is so important and the impact it can have. So yeah, I think the key, again, you know, it's not a matter of panicking and going into mass hysteria and freaking out, but it is a matter of get informed, do your research. In the age of information, we don't have an excuse. You know, any ignorance in this day and age is willful, quite honestly. And so it is important to do your research. Come together as a community by not coming together as a community and keeping your distance. Yeah, that's my thing on it. So if you've reached out to me asking if I want to go riding or, you know, meet up or anything like that, I apologize, but for the time being, I'd much rather err on the side of caution and keep my distance, both for the safety of you as well as for me. Yeah, so I guess that's my message, kind of, you know, you got to take this seriously. It's no joke. People who at the beginning of March were dismissing it and acting like it was nothing, now fast forward a few weeks and at least some of them are starting to give it some of the attention that it deserves. But you still got a lot of people out there, I think, who just don't understand the potential ramifications and repercussions of you know, our lack of action if we choose not to do anything. Do your research, be informed, and then make you know, implement those interventions that we can as individuals to help slow this thing down and, you know, protect yourself and those you love and everything. I mean, that's one of the craziest things I'm hearing from some people is like, oh, well, doesn't it impact just like the older people? Well, for one, that's not the case. But for two, what if that is the case? What if it does only impact older people? What, do they not matter all of a sudden? You know what I mean? Like we're way better than that, are we not? So, and we all in one way or another have a connection with somebody who's older. You know, whether we're the older person or our parents or our grandparents or our neighbor. I hope you guys all find your ways of coping. You know, whether that be through your spiritual means, whether that be through your meditation, whether that be through music, art, through two-wheel, you know, cycle therapy, whatever it is you enjoy doing. Hope you find yourselves well. And that's kind of the approach I'm taking. Another thing I'll add, I've chosen not to pursue the Harley drifting and stunt riding for the time being. Obviously there's a lot of like economic uncertainty, but reality is at any time if I crash and go out, it's gonna suck. But especially at a time like this where the healthcare system's already overwhelmed, the last thing I want to do is contribute to that by showing up with a, you know, broken leg or collarbone or whatever because I decided to go out and learn how to drift my Harley and then something went awry. So that's another little way in which I'm contributing and at least trying to lessen the burden on those who are on the front lines. So I don't know, guys, what are your, you know, what's been going on? Is everybody, hopefully, like I said, everybody's doing well, and I know this is not motorcycle related, and you know, hopefully we can look back a year or two down the road and say, cool, we did what we needed to do, and we were able to flatten the curve, if you will, minimize the number of deaths, and, you know, learn from this example and be better prepared for the next round. I guess one of the reasons maybe I've been putting this off too is you know, we're bombarded, we're inundated by this stuff, and so it's nice to have a little bit of a mental break and outlet. And so I don't want to be a source of more anxiety for anybody. I really don't. I don't want to be like a reminder, if you will, but I do think it's important to, I think we all play an you know, important role in how the outcome of this, you know, and what the ultimate outcome will be. And if we're not informed and we don't know, then we're not able to play our part. So maybe I'll leave it at that. Now that's amazing, man. No wheelies, no wannabe burnouts or drifts or anything. I can't believe it, dude. I can't believe it. As always, I appreciate the support. Try to have fun out there, try to stay positive, and if you're able to get out and enjoy some throttle therapy, then let's do it, man. Let's do it to it.